grew up on my grandparents' grape farm, and I actually spent most of my childhood living in their house and being essentially raised by them. And one day, I can remember the moment my grandfather was sitting at the kitchen table, and I came in the door and he didn't know who I was. It just felt like a kick in the ribs, like I couldn't breathe for a second. How could you not know who I am? Like, you raised me. And in that moment, I could kind of see like everything that I was about to lose. So after that, I decided that I was going to write him into a story. And in writing him into a story, I was going to kind of immortalize him so that I could never lose him. And in a sense, like, so that I could save him. Around the same time, I came across a book of poems by Mary Oliver, and there was one poem in particular called In Blackwater Woods, and there's a line in that poem that says, to live in this world, we must be able to do three things. To love what is mortal, to hold it against our bones, knowing our lives depend on it, and when the time comes to let it go, to let it go. And I remember just like clinging to those words. And so when the time came to write Roa's story, I knew that at the heart of Roa's story there was like a grief around losing someone that she loved very much. Roa has a sister that she grows up with and is very close to. They're so close that their bond is almost magical, and they call their bond the hum, and basically whenever they're of the same mind and anything, magical things happen. This thing that links them like a string is how Essie describes it. So when Dax is visiting, he's a childhood friend, and he goes too far to the edge of the roof and he's about to fall, and Essie sees this and she grabs him and saves him, but in saving him she falls and dies. So Roa is there and she watches her sister fall, and their bond is so strong that Essie doesn't quite die. Like, her soul gets trapped here in the form of a bird. And so Essie is still here with Roa and has been here ever since that day, but it's just her soul. So there's this mythology in the world where there's this god of souls, and her name is Skyweaver, and she sits at this loom in the place between the living and the dead, and she spins souls into stars, and she puts the stars, weaves them into the sky. And so when a soul doesn't cross, they get several chances to fix the reason that they haven't crossed, so that they can cross and then become a star eventually. Their chance happens on the Relinquishing, and the Relinquishing is a kind of festival, but it's a bit more somber, where the souls of the dead resume their true forms and they walk amongst the living for one night. And whatever it is that is keeping them here, they can fix it so that they can move on the next morning. But for Essie, the Relinquishing comes and then it leaves, and she's still here and she's still trapped in the form of a bird. And Roa has started noticing that her sister is disappearing, and so her sister's soul is essentially fading, and if she can't figure out a way to save her, she's going to lose her forever. In the world, there's the Skyweaver, and she has this knife, and the knife is used to cut souls loose so that she can turn them into stars. And the knife is rumored to be a real thing in the world that does have the power to exchange one soul for another. So if Roa can find this knife, she can use it to take Dax's soul and offer it up in exchange for her sister, and she'll get her sister back, like, totally and completely. But she has to kill the king. And at first she's like, she's not a murderer, she's not gonna kill the king, that's not right. But Dax is not who she thought he was, and he's broken his promises, and he's actually put her people in more danger than they were in before. So the big question is like, is she going to be able to do it? At the heart of the book is this idea that love is stronger than death. And at one point, a character says to Roa that real love is the strongest kind of steel. It's a blade that can be melted down and its form changed with every bang of the hammer. But to break it is a task that no one is capable of, not even death. And I think that that sort of gets at the heart of Roa's journey in the book, and the decision she has to make. And it comes out of my own realization when my grandfather passed away, that just because someone is gone doesn't mean that love stops. That the bond that was there ceases to exist.